So what I want to share with you guys today in this video is a system that I built out that generated me $100,000 every single year. And what I'm talking about here is the onboarding forms. So what do I mean by that? Well, when you're dealing with clients, specifically if you're in the service-based sector, you're likely going to have to go through some form of marketing and sales and close the deal, right? And once you close the deal, you're going to have to collect information from that client in order to service them properly. I want to share with you guys what that looks like, just so you can get a better picture of what you could be building out in this module. And this is exactly what we're going to be covering from start to finish, even if you know absolutely nothing about building forms, automation, all of that kind of stuff. So in front of me, I have my form. Now, keep in mind, I run an agency where we sell DJ, photo, and video services to weddings across Canada. And it's a multi-step form, right? So they can go through the whole process. They can enter in their information, right? This is all information that we need to collect in order to do our jobs properly. But if you go over to the DJ panel here, you're going to see a lot of these blocks, which are essentially upsell blocks. So they can actually add additional time. They can add that additional time to their cart. You can scroll down the page. It's going to ask you more questions, and you might get to a question like this, right? And the cool thing is it looks super native, right? So it's just another question in the planning process that says, will the officiant need to use our microphone? If they select yes, well, guess what? There's another upsell opportunity where we charge them $124.99 for an additional wireless microphone. They can go ahead, add that to the cart, and they can quickly check out on something like Stripe, and we can get paid, right? Now, I actually do this throughout the whole planning form. Like it's almost shameful how many times I upsell clients. I mean, you can just see how many additional products that I'm actually just selling people. But the reason is that we make so much money off of this. We actually make 10% of our revenue off of selling upsells, right? So effectively, 1 in every $10 that we generate is because of this form that I'm about to share with you today. And if I'm doing it, you likely can do it as well, right? And the best part about this is that these are things that they likely would want anyways. They're going to their way to buy it. We're not having to jump on a sales call to sell them. And if I'm not offering these things, well, I'm just losing out on really easy opportunities to increase the lifetime value of every single customer that I work with. Awesome. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be building out this exact, well, not this exact form, but pretty much a carbon copy of it. And what we're going to be doing is showing you guys, number one, how you can create that form. Number two, how you can automatically send that form to your clients after they've paid and signed. And then number three, how you can automatically take that data and then upload it back into your CRM, upload it into a Google Sheet. You can create a project management task and click up to review the form submission. You can send an email to the client, all that kind of stuff. And don't worry if you don't know what ClickUp is, or if you don't know even what Google Sheets is. We're going to be walking through absolutely every single step so that you understand exactly how to do this, because I want you guys to be making 10% more like I am using a form like this, because it's absolutely game changing for my business. So let's get into it. The first thing is we're going to build the form using paper form. Now, if you just go online and you do form software, right, and you search it up, you're going to come across a lot of different, there's so many different form softwares online. You've probably heard of a lot of them, honestly, like Jotform, for example, or Typeform or FormStack. These are some of the most popular ones. They're not going to cut it. You can't use FormStack, Typeform, Jotform. Unfortunately, they just do not work. And the reason they don't work, I'm actually going to share with you guys the reason that it doesn't work. And I'm going to use Go High Level as an example. Go High Level is a CRM where you can essentially have forms in there as well. And the problem with all of these softwares is if we just go in and into the builder, I'm actually going to visualize it just so you guys can really get a good understanding of why it doesn't work. So if we go into any particular form here, and they all offer the ability to sell products, but the issue is that you can only sell one product at a time, right? So I can go ahead, I can drop this block in there, fantastic, I can sell there, but I can't go ahead and drop another block in. It just doesn't work. So with all these softwares, Jotform, FormStack, Typeform, even Go High Level, you can sell, you can have lists of products here. So I could have a list of multiple different products. I could add, for example, DJ services, and then I could go ahead and add another thing and it would list below this. But, the thing is while that could technically work, you're leaving just so much money on the table by limiting yourself to a software like this. And for that reason, we are going to use Paperform. And just one more note here, how I built this form was all custom software. Now, if I was to go back in time knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have used custom software to build it because it took me 50 hours. I mean, it was just a ridiculously long time to build this when you really realistically could build this in 5 hours or less, right? I'm going to show you hopefully in a lot less than even 1 hour how to build this exact system, right? So it's just a lot of time. There's a lot of solutions out there. And I think Paperform is a great place to start. So if you guys haven't done so already, likely you haven't, you can go ahead and try Paperform for free. I'm just going to go ahead and sign in to my account here. And we're going to go ahead and create a form. All right. And we're going to create a form from scratch. And we're going to land on the interface here, right? So there's a blank interface. Before we even get into building anything, we're just going to head over to the configuration, and we want to change the form behavior to automatically save and resume later. And the reason why we want to do this is because think about the psychology behind people that are going to be purchasing on this platform. They just potentially made a purchase, right? They just maybe went with you. You probably, if you send that form immediately, they might feel it's a bit intrusive if you just keep upselling them immediately. What I like to do is have a bit of a delay between when they initially sign and when I send this form out, so that it feels like it's a secondary purchase, right? So the beautiful thing about it is that a lot of the times, like I won't even try and push upsells on the initial call that I have with clients, because I know that if I upsell them too much, they're just going to go with my competitors because they're going to think it's too expensive. But the beautiful thing about this is that they view it as a separate transaction in their minds, where they justify it because, it's just a tiny additional cost potentially, but they're not comparing it to, other companies because they've already locked themselves in with us, right? So it's just nice because they compartmentalize this particular purchase, and they don't really think about it in relation to the initial purchase and comparing us to other competitors. So I always like to have automatically save and resume later. So, they can come back to this form at any point in time and they can keep buying, they can keep changing, and you want to encourage them to keep coming back because that's going to lead to more sales as well. Awesome. So we're going to go back and we're going to design this form. So I'm not actually going to go into the specifics on, creating a beautiful form or creating all the right questions to ask. I'm just going to share with you guys really quickly how you can go about making sure that you get upsells in this form so that you can make more money. So we'll hit the slash button and we're going to start with a hidden field. So the first thing we're going to do is a hidden field. Now, what is a hidden field? It's essentially when somebody lands in this form, they're not even going to be able to see this field, right? It's just going to be hidden. They're not even going to, your customers, they're not even going to know it's here. And the reason why we want to have a hidden field is because we essentially want to pass in the email of the client. So let's just go ahead and we can change this to text for now. And we'll go ahead and we'll pre-fill the key here to email. So what does this mean? I think it's just better if I go ahead and share with you guys what this means here. So we have the email field, it's empty. Now, if we change this form to include an email in the URL parameter and we refresh the page, that email is actually going to load in to this email field, right? So we're passing this email field through the URL parameters. This is called a URL parameter. It's denoted by the question mark here. So everything after the question mark is called a URL parameter, and you have key value pairs. So the key is the email and the value is the email that you passed in. So essentially when you go back to the setup form here in the configuration, it says pre-fill, this is a key, right? So we're just saying we're going to find that key in this URL parameter, which happens to be here, and whatever that value equals, we're going to pass it in to that particular field. So why this is important is because if you want to automate forms, right, and you want to, for example, you want to collect this information and automatically update your CRM with that client, you're going to have to attach this form to that client in the CRM. And how you do that is through the email, likely, or the phone number, or some unique identifier that you can attribute this form submission back to that particular person. So the best way to do that is through an email. And we're going to cover this now, but we're going to go over it in much more detail later on so that you get to see the bigger picture here. So we can go ahead and we can go out of this, and we're going to hide this field so that when we view it now, again, there is no field. Even though if we pass in that email again, that field technically has the email registered in it. The user is just not going to be able to see it. And the reason you don't want to see it is because you don't want them to change the email and not be able to attribute this form submission to that particular user. So you want to just make sure it's standardized. They don't have a say in changing their email so that it can be mislinked to the wrong person. I don't even know if mislinked is a real word, but I just made that up in an effort to try and make this as simple as possible. Okay, great. So the next thing we can go ahead and do is we want to create this functionality where it feels like it's a native field, right? So if you click yes, then it shows. If you click no, then it doesn't show. Okay, so we can go ahead and we'll just say, will you have a dance floor, right? Okay, great. That's a good enough question. We're going to go ahead and choose yes or no options. And the question will be, will you have a dance floor? We're going to add another question down here. And this next question is going to be a product field. Okay. And let's see what product we're selling here. Okay, cool. Let's just go ahead. We'll call it subwoofer. And great. We're going to go into the configuration of this. And there's a couple things we want to do. We want to have question visibility logic. Currently, it's set to off. We want to turn this on. So once again, I think it's better if I just explain by showing you guys. Essentially, we only want to show this field if somebody says yes to the previous question. So if they say yes, I'll have a dance floor, then you show the product subwoofer. If they say no, then I'm not going to show the product subwoofer. So just as an example, if I say no, that product will not appear. If I say yes, then the product will appear. So once again, no, it won't appear. Yes, it will appear. And how we did that, once again, was through the configuration. We just had question visibility logic set from off to on, and we made sure that this particular question has to be yes in order for that particular question to show. Okay, awesome. Can we buy more of these products? Let's just go ahead and say, yes, we can. We're gonna customize this product and we'll call it subwoofer. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and say this is $150. And we're gonna add an image to the subwoofer. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to choose a good image here. I'm gonna choose an image of a frog because why not? What's not a better image to represent a subwoofer, which is a speaker, to a frog? Okay, perfect. So that's pretty much set there. I think we're good to go. And we'll just go back to the editor and we're gonna view this one more time. So will you have a dance floor? If it's no, it's not going to show the product. If it's yes, it will show the product with this beautiful freaking frog. Oh my gosh, what a stunning photo of a subwoofer. Wouldn't you just want to buy that immediately if you saw that frog? Me personally, I probably would. Okay, awesome. So we can go ahead and we'll duplicate this question. We'll drag this down and we'll just create one more payment field here. And let's go ahead and choose another one. Another question from here. Are you interested in additional lighting? It's another question. Okay, perfect. And if the answer is, we'll also copy this product down here. And we'll change the conditional logic here so that it only shows if the previous question was a yes as well. So are you interested in additional lighting? Only show it if the answer is yes. Okay, perfect. And we just need to make sure we copy this question down. So we're going to offer something called uplighting, which is just additional lights. And we can go ahead and customize this product as well. Okay, let's see. The product is uplighting. And we'll go ahead and charge, I don't know, $40 for that, something like that. And we'll have another image of a different frog this time. Don't ask me why I have so many images of frogs on my computer. It will remain a mystery forever. Sweet. So we'll go back and we'll save that and we can take a quick look. Okay, perfect. So we have 2 questions. If they're no, it's not going to show anything. If it's yes, it'll show this uplighting. And if it's yes, it'll show this. And you can go ahead and insert how many subwoofers you want. So maybe I want 2 and I want 4, and then the price will be automatically calculated. Now, just to kind of give the appearance of a multi-form approach, what we can actually do is we can do a break here. So we'll add a break, and I'm going to drag this question down below and this question down below as well. Okay, we'll see if this works. Okay, let's try this out. And sweet, so it works. Okay, awesome. So we're good to go there. We just need to connect this into Stripe to make sure that we can actually get payments onto our Stripe account. Okay, so we'll go into payments here, and we're gonna select this payment account here. Now you can go ahead and, I'm just gonna save this, manage all payment accounts. You can go ahead and connect any of these accounts in here. I just went ahead and I connected my Stripe account in here. And this is taking a while to load, but yeah, you can just go ahead and choose the thing. You can connect it in and you're good to go. And once you have that connected in, we can come back into the particular form and just make sure that we have the account set up. For this purpose, we're just gonna use the test account here, and currency, you can set to whatever currency you want, and sweet. So we're good to go. It's saved. We'll try this form again. Do we want dance floor lighting? Yes, we do. I want 1 of these and I want 2 of these. And we'll click continue. And now it's going to bring us to this checkout page. Now, because we're on a test, what's going to happen is you can enter in a test credit card. So I'll go ahead and select the name on the card as test, and we're going to create a fake credit card here. You can just do 4242 all the way to the end. Make sure that the expiry date is in the future, and the CVC can be 424. And we can go ahead and click submit. And now the form has been officially submitted, right? Now, you can go back and you can add all the different questions that you want. You can style it however you want as well. And essentially you'll get the same effect here. But the main point is that you have these upsells that are integrated straight into your planning form, so that as your clients are filling in their information to plan for your services, you're giving them the ability to upsell. And the more upsells you have, the better. Please keep in mind, obviously in a tasteful amount, right? You don't want a million upsells to push them away and feel like all you are is, all they are is a bag of money to you. I mean, maybe that might be the case, but you don't want to give that, you don't want to give that that vibe over to them. So that's the first part. You can add in all of the different questions. All we're going to cover in this form building is just how to add those additional upsells in your forms. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is how we can automate this form. So specifically how we can send that information into Google Sheets, how we can send that form information into your CRM, how we can create a ClickUp project management file after they submit that form, and how we can automatically send that form over to your clients when they pay and sign the contract. So that's going to be the second part of this, how we automate everything all together. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the software called make.com. If you guys haven't used this before, I do have tutorials on how you can make this work. So you can go ahead and check my channel. I make so many different videos on make.com, but essentially what this software allows me to do is it allows me to automate 95% of my business. It replaces effectively pretty much like through all the automation I do, it replaces probably 25 full-time employees, which is great because those are people that I would have had to pay $5,000 to if I hired them in Canada. Essentially what this software does is it's a no-code workflow automation tool that allows you to connect thousands or tens of thousands of different softwares together. So for example, when this form is submitted, we can essentially go ahead and send that information into Google Sheets. We can go ahead and send that information into your CRM. We can go ahead and send an email to the client thanking them for filling out the form. We can go ahead and create a ClickUp task to review that form submission, right? So all of those things we can do in Make.com all completely automatically. So you can go ahead and click Get Started for free and then do the onboarding. It's going to take you 1 minute. Now, once you are actually inside, what we're going to do is we're going to create a scenario, right? Once again, if you guys are totally unfamiliar with Make.com, maybe I'd recommend pausing this and going and watching my other videos just to get caught up to speed. If you do know how to use Make.com, then this is going to be absolutely amazing for you because we're going to automate everything. So we're going to head into the scenarios here. Okay, computer is just a bit laggy right now. And I'm going to create a new scenario. And we're going to type in paper form here, and we're going to choose new submission. We're going to create this, create a new webhook, and we just want to make sure that we connect in our paper form account. So if you don't have this, you can go ahead and add, and it's going to essentially create a connection between you and Paperform. Okay, so I've actually gone ahead and deleted that webhook, and we're going to just add it in again, just so you guys can see how this works. So we'll go ahead and we will click add, and I'm just going to go onboarding test form here, and we are going to add, save, and we're just going to authorize. And there we go, voila, it's working. And we're just gonna select the right form, right? And in this case, it's gonna be the untitled form. And we can go ahead, click save, and we can click okay. Perfect, okay, so we have this set up. And what we can do is we can click run once. Now, what is going on here? So effectively, what's happening is in Make.com, you have triggers and you have actions. What we just set up is called a trigger, and there's only one trigger per scenario, right? So effectively, the trigger is just what starts the actions from happening. Now, in this particular case, what starts this, this workflow is just the form being submitted. So when somebody fills out that form, this will start working, right? So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and refresh this form, and we're just going to submit this again. We'll say they want 2 subwoofers and they're going to get additional lighting as well. They'll get 4 additional lights. They're going to spend $460. We'll just add the credit card information one last time. Sweet, and they'll click submit. So when that form has officially been submitted, that data will be received in Make.com. You can see the arrow or the little cloud thing, or at least I like to think of it as like a cloud thing here. And you can actually see all of the information that was submitted here. Here's, an overview of it. You can see things like, it might be easier just to view it in this if you're not familiar with JSON, but you can see the charges. So the products they purchased 2 products. One was the subwoofer. They had a quantity of 2. The price was $150 each for a total of $300. The second was the uplighting. I'll zoom in a bit on this so you guys can see it. They purchased 4 uplights for a total of $40 a piece, or $160 in total. Okay, great. So we have all that information in here. Now what we want to do is we're just going to create a copy of that information. So we'll go into a JSON object and we'll parse JSON. And we're going to copy this output bundle here. So all of this information that we received from this form submission, we're going to copy. And we're going to take that information and we're just going to paste it into this JSON string here and click OK. And we're going to unlink this, and I'll explain this in a second, guys. We're going to switch this little trigger action over here, which denotes what is the trigger. And in this case, we switched it over to this. And we'll go ahead and run this again. So now we have a shallow copy of all that information, and why we switched over to the parse JSON and we copied all the information into this is so that now we don't have to submit that form every freaking time we want to get this information, because that can be such a freaking tedious task where you're spending so much time just submitting forms. Obviously, it's a big waste of time. This is the fastest way to do it. So we're just going to take a copy and we're going to use that copy of information for all of the future executions that we want to run. So the first thing that we can go ahead and do is we can add this information into the Google Sheet, right? So we'll go ahead and choose add a sheet here. Now, we need to create a Google Sheet here, and I've actually gone ahead and created a sheet, but I'm going to go ahead and create another one. And just to kind of show you guys here, so we'll title this, onboarding, oh my gosh, onboarding sheet numero dos V2, and this will be a test. And we'll go ahead and we're going to copy this ID here. So in the URL, you can actually see the ID of the form, and it's before the /edit and after the d/ or spreadsheet /d/. And we can go ahead and copy that in to make.com. So this is the first action we're going to do. We're going to submit information into that Google Sheet. You can go ahead and enter a spreadsheet, select from all, and enter in the spreadsheet ID and search spreadsheets. We can also enter in the name here and search by name, and either one should return the results. It said no match found, and that is because we're currently on the wrong account. So when we go over to the correct account and try this again, it should appear. All right, so let's give this another shot. Go ahead, click OK. And there we go. We found it. Okay, it doesn't seem to be very cooperative. So we're just going to go ahead and delete this and try it again. Sheets, add a row, select the right account, select from all, spreadsheet ID. Okay, here we go, sheet name 1. And now we have all this information in here. And essentially what we want to do is we want to just add all of the information that we got from the form into Google Sheets. So we can go ahead and I'm just going to refresh this form here and take a look at the submission. So the first question we probably want to add in here is, will there be a dance floor? Just going to paste this in here. Yeah, dance floor. That's the first question we're going to add in here. And the second question is going to be, are there, so we'll just go ahead and label this additional lighting. Okay, awesome. Perfect. So that sounds good. And we can also go ahead and add in the email because we are collecting that too. Sweet. So if we, what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to map this information. Mapping is just essentially putting the right value in the right place. So we can go ahead and refresh this data here. You'll see that we have the email field in column A. Will there be dance floor lighting in column B and additional lighting in column C? So we'll go ahead and we'll select the field with the email, right? So we have the value here, the email value, and then we'll go ahead and select the dance floor lighting field here. Will you have a dance floor? And we'll select the value here, right? So the value of this question is what we're entering here. And then the value of the additional lighting question is going to be here, right? So we have all three values, and we're going to click OK, and we're going to run once. And we're going to take that copy and enter that into the Google Sheet here. So now anytime there's a new form submission, it's going to enter the information in, right? Now, keep in mind, there's a million questions you could have in here. I'm just going through this super, super quickly. I'm entering 3 questions in here, but you can enter in as many questions as you want, and you can enter that all in the Google Sheet. Okay, perfect. The next thing we probably might want to do is send an email over, and we'll go ahead and send that email to the particular client saying, hey, thanks for filling out the planning form. We just wanted to notify you that we received your information. So we'll go ahead and in the email, the to email address, we'll go ahead and select the email of the client that filled out the form. And we'll just go ahead and say, thank you very much for submitting our planning form. And then in the content of the email, we can say, hey, thanks for submitting a planning form. We've received your information. Best, Jono. Okay, perfect. Now we can go ahead and test this out and send that email over. Perfect. So it has been sent. I'll take a look and we can see a new email just came in and it says, hey, thanks so much for submitting our form. We've received your information. Best, Jono. Okay, step number 2 is done. So we have officially entered information into a Google Sheet. We have sent an email to the client. The next thing we're going to want to do is add a ClickUp project. So in case you want to review that information, let's say they submit the planning form, you want to review the information, make sure they filled it out properly, we can go ahead and we can do that next. So we'll choose ClickUp. You can choose whatever software you want. It could be Monday.com. It could be, okay, I'm blanking. That's all I can think of off the top of my head right now, but ClickUp or Monday or Asana. There we go, a third one. And we can go ahead and create a task, right? All we want to do is create a task for us to essentially follow up on and just make sure we're checking the planning form, everything looks good, and we're good to render our particular services for that client. I'll go ahead and choose the space. It can be whatever space you want, whatever folder you want. You can have multiple folders, multiple spaces, and it can also be whatever list you want. I'm just going to go ahead and choose my regular task list, and I'll name the task review onboarding form, and the content will be review, and I just want to put the email here. Usually I'd put like the person's first name. I just didn't add it to the form. I'd be like review Jono Catliff's onboarding form. In this instance, I'm just going to put the email. I'm going to assign it to myself. I'm going to set the status to open. The priority is going to be normal, and I'm going to set a due date. And that due date is going to be in 7 days from now. How I can go ahead and do that is I can select the formula add days, and I can select now and add 7, which means that effectively what this formula is doing is it's saying add days from now. So you're going to add 7 days onto now. So if now is June 13th, this is going to be due on June 20th. Awesome. And we can go ahead and click save, and we'll run this scenario one more time. Perfect. I'm going to log into my ClickUp folder, and here we go. So I actually had to run this twice because the first time my camera didn't film properly, but you can see the form here, or the task here, review onboarding form, and it's assigned to me. It's open, it's due in 7 days. The priority is normal. Okay, awesome. So that's pretty much almost everything. The last thing we need to do is just send this to our CRM and then make sure that we can automatically send emails to clients so that they can open up these planning forms and submit them automatically without any intervention whatsoever. So I like the CRM Go High Level. This is what I use for pretty much, well, that's what I use all the time. I always recommend it, absolutely love it. It's just great because you get to automate so much stuff and it's super simple to use. So what we'll do is we'll go into the automation section here. You don't necessarily need to know how to use Go High Level, but most of the CRMs are pretty similar nowadays. So I mean, same kind of functionality, different interface. So you can do pretty much the same stuff in every single one of them. But I think Go High Level is a bit superior to most of them. So, but obviously I'm biased when I say that. So I'm going to do onboarding form submission, and I'll go ahead and label this test. And I'm going to add a trigger here. And I'm going to search inbound triggers webhook. So essentially, I need to send information into Go High Level to receive it, to update that particular client, right? And how I do that is by sending information to this link. So essentially, whenever I send information to this exact link, it will register that information, it'll collect it, and then I can use that data to do whatever my objective is. So we'll go back into make.com and we're going to select something called an HTTP module, which essentially allows you to send information outside of make.com. You can send it to whatever application you want. You can send it to tens of thousands of applications, really as long as that application can receive information, right? And how it receives information is by allowing you to send information to an API point is the technical term, but just this URL, that it can receive that information. So we'll go ahead and we'll make a request here, just a simple request, and we're going to enter in the URL that we want to send information to. And we're going to select the method as post. A post method essentially means that we're sending information to that, right? A get method is we're asking for information back from that URL. So it's like, hey, can you provide me access to an image? I want to see that image. A post would be like, hey, I want to upload an image to your server or whatever. Put is update and delete is delete. Awesome. And we can go ahead and we're just going to select application X form encoded, and the fields will be whatever fields we want to pass over. So I'm going to go ahead and select email, uplights, and the last one that I'm going to do is dance floor. Dance floor. Okay, perfect. So we'll go ahead, and this is a bit boring, not going to lie. We just got to transfer data back and forth. So we got to map it again. So we're just putting the email value in the email key and the uplighting value for the uplighting field. And then the dance floor lighting for the dance floor field. And we can click OK. And yeah, we can click run one more time. That information has now been sent using this HTTP request. It's sent to this URL, and it's passing all of this information. The email key equals the actual email, uplights equals the actual value, dance floor equals the actual value. So that when we come in here and we refresh, we can see that we did receive information. And we can just enter that client's information here. So I just want to essentially update their email on file. And this is why it's so important. Remember how we had this email here, right? Where we said email equals whatever. That's important because that has been passed in make.com, right? It's received in make.com, and then it's sent using this HTTP module into Go High Level. And then when it gets here, essentially you're connecting this email that you received from this HTTP module, which came from the form. So when you put in the URL, it's submitted into make.com, it's sent into Go High Level, which is the CRM. Now it's going to find that contact based on the email. So by not allowing that contact to upload or use a different email, you're forcing them to use the standard email that they have on file, and it's going to be able to update that particular client in the CRM. Awesome. So we can add two more fields. I'm just going to actually leave it like that because I don't have these other custom fields in there. I'm just kind of going to show you what this looks like. And then from here, I could do anything in Go High Level. I could update all the fields. I could add a tag, for example, to that particular user. I could say like form submitted, planning form submitted, all that kind of stuff, right? I can do all of this. So that's really how you can use make.com to effectively do anything you want afterwards. You can send information into Google Sheets. You can send an email to the client. You could create a ClickUp project management task after the form has been submitted. You can insert that information to Go High Level or your CRM. It's super powerful stuff, and this is how you can systematically automate all of the different processes in your business that you're currently doing by hand, right? And it doesn't take super long. The only other thing that I want to cover in this video is how you can effectively send an email to your client so that they can get this planning form automatically. And essentially what you want to do is you want to allow them to have a link like this to the form, but this email needs to be changed depending on the client, right? Because you want to make sure that the client receives a link with their email attached to it. So if you're using a CRM like Go High Level, you could go ahead, I'm just going to save this for now. You could go ahead and create another workflow, and we'll start from scratch. And we'll just call this send onboarding form. And we'll label this test. Very original name. I spent so freaking long trying to figure out how to title that properly. I'm just kidding. So we'll go ahead and add a trigger. Now, essentially, what you want to do here is you're probably going to want to send that form after they've paid and signed the agreement, right? There's a lot of different ways they can pay and sign the agreement depending on the software you're using. So something like Go High Level, they have their own invoicing software. They have like a payment software. So you could go ahead and send a payment through Go High Level. And when that payment is received, then it starts a particular automation. And in this automation, we can send off an email to the client, right? You could have third-party platforms like Invoice Ninja or like PandaDoc. What I like to use is PandaDoc to allow people to pay and sign contracts. Essentially what PandaDoc does is it makes proposals that will make impressions, or they have contracts, or they accept payments, all of that kind of stuff. So I just use this as a contract and invoice platform, but you can also use Go High Level. Whatever you want to use, you just need to have a workflow that is an automation that starts when that payment is received. So when you send an invoice to the client and they pay, right? They take out their credit card and they pay, they give you the money, then the invoice is marked as complete. And this has to start a workflow here, right? So for example, when the payment is received, this workflow is going to start and you can send out an email. That email can go out to the particular client that's already in your CRM. And you could just say, hey, contact, first name, thanks for paying and signing our agreement. Here's our onboarding forms. Please fill them out when you get a sec. Awesome. And you could have the link here. And instead of having the email equals my email hard coded, you could just go ahead and select contact. So you'd go into contact and email, enter it in there. Best Jono. So when you send this over to a particular customer, it's just going to enter their email. So this is going to be replaced by, the particular email you have on file, right? So that is how you can go ahead and send emails. You can, I'm just going to go ahead and say onboarding forms. You could send multiple emails. Maybe I'd wait, 2 days, for example, and send another email, like duplicate this and send it again. But the point is that when they pay and sign the contract, you send emails over. When you send emails over, it's going to have this link so that they can go to the planning form and they can start filling out their forms automatically. And this is kind of what you can essentially build, right? Is a fully comprehensive planning form where you have tons of different upsells where you can automatically start charging you can automatically start, collecting way more money because you effectively have all of these upsells in your planning form, and it's completely automated, which means that not only are you going to be potentially making up to 10% more revenue, but you're going to spend 0 freaking seconds having to actually deal with the operations of managing it. You don't have to send it. You don't have to help the client through it. You don't have to deal with the emails or the project management files or the data transfer afterwards. It's all completely automated. So that's effectively it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want to see more videos just like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. It really helps me out in allowing me to help people like yourself, grow their own businesses. And make sure to hit the thumbs up button too. Thank you guys once again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.